Hello, lifers, and welcome back to the Live the Life podcast. I am your host, Eric Aroca. Hey, today we are going to be talking about the importance of communication when building winning cultures. So, looking forward to that. You know what? We're on episode 13. Lucky 13. Wait, is 13 lucky or unlucky?
13 is Taylor Swift's lucky number.
13 is Taylor Swift's lucky number. She would know. She is the expert on T Swift. All right. Well, hey, we're going to go with that. It's a lucky number. So, episode 13. Wow. Can't believe it's been 13 weeks. That's crazy. Time is flying by. So, yeah, that's way cool. I realize I think it's taken 13 episodes to realize I am a hand talker. I don't know if you guys have noticed it. But I am constantly talking with my hands. I think it's more of a culture thing than anything else. And I'm just going to keep doing it because that's what it's all about. Yo. I don't know. All right. Maybe not that. Maybe not that. And today's Coke Zero message name on the bottle is pals. And lifers, you're all my pals. We are pals. So here's to you. Little subliminal message to Coke. Zero. All right. Yeah, that's where we're at with that. Also, I don't have an update on the book. Sorry, I don't know why it's taken. I think it's just me. It's just me. It's just me, you guys. I gotta get it done. But it's coming. So hang in there. It's coming. What else? Do we have anything else to update? We don't really have any updates today. Dang. That's it. Let's just get right to it. All right. So today we're talking about the importance of that communication plays in when we are trying to set up winning cultures. So I like to think that it's instead of just communication, we need to be striving to connect with people when we communicate. There is a lot of information out there that talks about how I think it's like 70% of our communication is nonverbal. So that's a lot of that. That's our gestures, whether or not we smile when we're communicating, all of those things. So all of those nonverbal cues make up to be like 70% of our communication. So that's pretty staggering. That's quite a bit. So I think that's telling us that we say a lot without actually saying a word. So I think it becomes really important that when we have the opportunity to actually say the words, which is only that 30%, that we make it count. Don't talk to hear yourself talk. Communicate to connect. That is the goal. Making connections when we communicate. In any environment, whether it's a classroom, the school, workplace, culture is not built by words alone, but by the communication, but rather the connections that we create, that those words create. So keep that in mind. Communication doesn't happen when it's said. Communication happens when it's understood. So I think as we move forward in our in communicating, in our efforts to communicate with others, we should not, or I should say we should seek to be understood above all else. So seek for understanding as we strive to communicate. I think that's really the key. That's where the magic happens. Several years ago, I was on a plane headed to Korea for a speaking opportunity. And I was speaking at Samsung, which was pretty awesome in itself. I loved it. It was Samsung Biologics, and it was pretty incredible. Anyway, as I boarded my plane in Salt Lake City, I did what I normally would do. I had a good book with me. Oh, let's pick this one right here. Oh, I had a good book. This one's 1491. New Revelations about the Americas before Columbus. It's easy to read, hard to say, I think. So I had my book. I had my phone. I had my headphones on. And, my plan for this 17-hour flight was very simple. Get to my seat, read a good book, listen to music, and voila. That was the plan. Pretty basic, pretty simple. Pretty awesome, if you ask me. I am not the type that gets on the plane and is just like, hey, how you doing today? Hey, where are you headed? I could freaking care less. I mean, that's just honest. I don't care where you're going. I don't care what you're doing. I don't really care what your name is. Like, I'm trying not to have any conversations with anyone when I'm on a plane. I don't know. I'm an introvert. I can't help it, okay? Now, if you talk to me, I will, of course, be polite. I will answer your questions, whatever, but I'm not going to initiate the conversation. No way, no how. Well, I get on the plane. I happen to have a window seat, and I'm feeling the good vibes because it is getting down to the time where that frickin' door is going to close. You're going to hear the beep, and you think, oh, thank God that no one is sitting in the middle. You know what I'm saying? 17-hour flight. The last thing you want is someone sitting right smack next to you. Okay? So I'm thinking it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The traveling gods are smiling upon me. I heard the door close, and I see one person walking down the aisle. And the thoughts in my head are, please not me, please not me, please not me. I am praying. And sure enough, it's me. But at least it was the aisle seat, y'all. Aisle. So the middle was free. I was going to have a little extra room, a little extra leg room. It was going to be epic. Well, I tried my best to ignore this passenger, this woman that was going to be sitting next to me for the next 17 hours. And I did my best to pretend like I was reading, one of these. I was doing a lot of that while pretending to listen to music. So it looks like this. Looks like I'm constipated. All right, but you get the idea, right? I mean, I'm trying. I don't want to have a conversation with this person. She looked nice enough. She looked sweet. All that stuff. But I don't care. I don't want to have a conversation with her. Okay? All right, so I even shifted in my seat a little bit. Kind of try to fade. Like whatever's going on outside the airplane is so interesting, right? Like, oh my gosh, look at the bags go up the conveyor belt into the plane. Oh my gosh, look at that that airport worker down there just chucking bags like he just don't care, right? And they really don't care. Anyway, so I tried my best to avoid any type of communication. But sure enough, she sits down, and within 10 seconds, she's tapping me on the shoulder. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta shift back over. And I didn't roll my eyes, but I wanted to. I wanted to really bad. I removed the headphones, and I'm like, yes, may I help you? And she's like, yes, can you help me with my bag? put it in, above. And I'm like, oh, certainly. Happy to help. So I get to the aisle, grab her bag, put her on above the little luggage thing area, close the hatch, we're ready to go. I'm like, there you go. I get back in my seat, try to get comfortable again, get the book back out, because the last thing I want to do is talk to this lady. Fake read, fake listening to the tunes. It's not working. Within 20 seconds, she's tapping me on the shoulder again. And this time I really do want to roll my eyes. I think I may have gone like this towards the window and been like, hey, how can I help you? Sophia's over here dying laughing. How can I help you? She's like, hi, my name is Clara Chang. Hi, Clara. My name is Eric Aroca. That was the end. That was the end of my solitude, my peacefulness, my tranquility. And it was a start of connecting with Clara for the next, 17 and a half hours. Because aside from some bathroom breaks and me drinking a Coke Zero on the flight, let's just try that again. Clara Chang and I spoke for 17 hours. I still remember the captain coming over the intercom and saying, hey, we're going to be prepping the cabin because we will be landing in a few minutes, maybe 20 minutes or whatever it was, right? I really could not believe that it had been 16 and a half hours that Clara and I spoke the whole time. So what did we talk about? Well, we talked about Clara's life. We talked about her story. We talked about how she was going back to Korea to see her family that she left behind when she was, I think, 4 years old, as she was leaving Korea for a better life. What an amazing story that was. I gotta tell you, there was lots of tears shed as she told the story, and me receiving this story. I shed a couple of tears too. It was just so heartwarming, and man, we just had that amazing connection. I mean, you can see how it's affected me right now. Woo, baby! Oh, I love that I had the opportunity to speak with Clara. This is us right here. Can you see that good on the camera? Can you see that better? Is that better?
Yeah. Yeah, that's better.
That's us. I got to meet her family. Some of her kids were on the flight. I think a sister was on the flight. A couple of nieces were on the flight. And they were kind of, directly across from us and behind us in the middle section of the plane. And I got to meet them. And I got to interact with them and find out about their story. Clara asked me about my story and where I was from and how I got to America, and I got to share my story with her. I will forever be grateful that woman, that Clara Chang, that she tapped me on the shoulder. Not once, twice. It has literally been an event in my life that has changed my life. It has changed the way I try to communicate with other people. I don't do this podcast to hear myself talk. I do this podcast because I want to have a connection with you. When I say, hey, make comments and I will get back with you on comments, it's not going to be a here's a heart, here's a thumbs up, and say thank you. I want us to connect. I want us to have a connection. I want to have a connection with all of you lifers that are out there listening to this podcast, to this episode. So that's what Clara did for me. She gave me a new perspective on the importance of communication. I strive on a daily basis that when I communicate, I try to make connections with the people that I'm communicating with. Because we all communicate. We communicate all day long. Whatever it is, whether it's important, unimportant, whatever. But how often do you make connections? Think about your day to day while you're listening to this episode. And I want you to think whether you're listening to this first thing in the morning, whether you're listening to it midday, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. Go back through your day and think, how many people did I actually speak with today? It could be on the phone, texting, DMing people, instant messenger, whatever your communication was. You making comments on TikTok, on Instagram, on Facebook, on LinkedIn, whatever it is. Conversations you have with people on the phone, face to face, which is probably the most important communication you've had all day. And think to yourself, how many times did I connect with people today? Not how many people you communicated with, but rather how many connections did you make? I think that the number may be surprising. You might be one of those rare individuals that says, wow, I connected with so many people today. This is what I learned about them. This is what I got from our communication. Or you might be one of those people kind of like me, right? Like that day with Clara that is trying to avoid all types of communication, trying to avoid talking to anybody. So I think that's a good kind of question, kind of a good place for us to start, is to figure out if we're actually connecting or if we're just communicating. If we're just communicating, I mean, to be honest, it's like, who cares? You may not even be saying anything important. The person talking with you, communicating with you, may not be talking about anything important. But man, if you're making connections, if you're connecting with people, if other people are connecting with you, that's a beautiful thing. Like I said, I will forever be grateful to Clara for tapping me on the shoulder and talking my ear off for, probably 15 hours, because I don't think my story took that long, to be honest. It was really just her talking, and she was from Santa Clara, California, and I don't know, it was just beautiful. Think about the type of communicator that you are. A little while ago, I created a communication styles assessment because I was doing a lot of leadership classes on the 4 acts of leaders. And then I was like, wow, you know what? I'm going to create a leadership assessment style and figure out what kind of leader you are. So I did a communication and a leadership assessment. To figure out what is your leadership style, what is your communication style. So there's lots of things that you can look out there. My leadership styles, my 4 leadership styles that I talk about are the doers, the thinkers, the influencers, and the connectors. Okay? And just to make it simple, I use the same style for my communication styles assessment. So I do doers. The doers are the action-oriented communicators. The thinkers, pretty obvious, they're going to be your analytical communicators. Your influencers, they're more like your motivational, inspirational type of communicators. And lastly, the connectors. These are the empathetic communicators. These are the relationship builders, right? So it's kind of interesting to figure out what type of communicator are you? What style are you? Are you a doer, a thinker, an influencer, or a connector? And to be totally honest, I think that we are all four of those different styles at any given point during the day. We may have a role that we play in each one of those different styles. But ultimately, you are going to be one of those predominantly throughout the day. So it'd be interesting to see which one of those you are. I am definitely, probably, that didn't make sense. Definitely, probably. What am I thinking? I would say that throughout my day, I am more, these days, I am more of an influencer, kind of that inspirational communicator, that type of communicator who's trying to inspire others with enthusiasm and vision. I think that for the majority part of my day, that's where I'm at. But I also can see when I am in the doer's communication style. You know, that action-oriented, let's get it done type of mentality. When today, for example, I was in a school doing a subbing at a school, and I was definitely in doer mode. Kids, get this done. Get your work done. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's get out to recess. Let's get lunch done. You know what I mean? I was definitely in doer mode. But I found myself finding unique opportunities to be in influencer mode, to help motivate. And I don't want to say motivate, to try to inspire these students to do great things in the classroom. I can definitely tell that sometimes I'm a connector. You know, I have that, I'm more empathetic in my communication style. So we're all four of those things, all four of those styles, but ultimately you are predominantly one of those. You have to try to figure out where you're at. Now, the reason why I think it is so critical to figure out our communication styles is because when we communicate, we often communicate the way we want to be communicated to. So if I am a doer and I'm action oriented, I want people to communicate with me as an action, as a doer, as a get things done type of a communication. So what does that look like? Well, often that looks like, give me the highlights, give me the ESPN version. In other words, just give me the highlights and move on, right? Give me the 1, 2, 3 things that I need to know, and then go away. Don't go away mad, just go away. Motley Crue. I got Motley Crue in my podcast. I'm going to put them on my description. All right. I'll put the song on the descriptions for you guys. It's a great tune. Yeah, so don't go away mad, just go away type of mentality, right? Because I just don't want you in my space. I am busy. I'm trying to meet deadlines. I'm trying to finish books. I got to record a podcast. I got to go sub a job. I got to do more research. I ain't got time for that. I just snuck in. I ain't got time for that. Those of you who know.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
No. What is it?
Ain't nobody.
Ain't nobody got time for that. If you know, you know. All right. Oh, that's hurting my throat. Jeez. Okay. So I think that's important. You know, early on in my marriage, and it still happens today, 35 years later. Thank you. Thank you. Can't believe I found somebody that can put up with my crap for that long. So I'm going to keep her. But early on, you know, past the dating phase and past the honeymoon, you get into real life. You get into reality. And I found that I was communicating with my wife the way I want to be communicated to. Action. 1, 2, 3. Here's what you need to know. Let's move on to the next thing. Well, my wife is not a doer in her communication style. She is more of a thinker. She is the analytical communicator. She is logic, reasoning. She needs structure. She needs the story behind the story. Yikes. Okay? I learned this because when we were first married, we had one car. Oh, kind of like right now. Gosh, it all comes full circle. She had a Chevy Beretta. I think it was a Chevy. Anyway, it was a Beretta. Those of you who remember those cars. So I would go to work and our schedules worked out that I could drop her off at work and pick her up on my way home. It was perfect. Like it was the perfect scenario. On the way home, I would ask, how was your day, honey? Hey, babe, how was your day? Those are probably the last words I mentioned in the entire drive home. Why, you ask? Because she didn't answer my question with, hey, hon, my day was great. How was yours? Her day started with, you know, as I got up this morning and I was curling my hair, I realized that the setting was on high because I was like, do I smell burnt hair? Oh my gosh, my curling iron is set on high instead of medium or low. So I need to turn it down. And then that got me to thinking about, oh my. Okay, I gotta say this, oh my. So she would go and tell me how her day went from the beginning of her opening her eyes till then, to the point where I asked my question. That's a lot. That's not what I wanted to know. To be honest, I probably got caught a lot not listening. Driving, just thinking, oh my gosh, what have I done? Now, that makes me sound horrible. But she was guilty of the same thing. When she would ask me, hey, hon, how was your day? I did not start with, you know, when I was in the shower this morning, shampooing my hair, I thought about the intricacies of life. No, I didn't go there. I basically said my day was great. I answered the question. How was your day, hon? Freaking great. I think she felt unfulfilled in our communication. Rightly so. But from my standpoint, I was answering the question. Next question could have been, what was so great about it? That was rarely the question. But at the same time, I also felt unfulfilled because I felt like I was getting a lot of information that I didn't need. I just needed my question answered so I could move on. So what have I learned? I've learned over the last 35 years that it is critical that I learn to communicate with my wife. If I want to have a successful marriage, if I want to have a successful relationship with my manager, with my coworkers, with students, with whomever I'm communicating with, I try to figure out in my communication what their communication style is. And there are a few tricks that you can learn along the way. But if I communicate with the way that they want to be communicated to, I feel fulfilled, they feel fulfilled, we make a connection, we can continue moving forward. For example, if I'm in action mode or doer mode, as is the communication style, the name of the communication style, if I am in doer mode, I might do something like this. If one of my kids comes up and asks me something, let's just take Sophie because she's right here. When Sophie comes and asks me something, and I say, I don't have a lot of time right now, what do you need? That is a cue to Sophie, my child, which I love dearly, that I don't want to chit chat. I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about the mysteries of life. Just freaking tell me what you need to tell me, because I'm busy. If I look at my watch. If I look at my invisible watch, but nobody does that anymore. If I'm looking at my phone, right, and my attention is clearly on my phone, and she comes in and she's like, hey Dad, I have a question for you. Hey Dad, hey Dad, I'm giving you a clue that I'm busy, so you better make it fast. Okay? Now, if Sophie says, hey Dad, I need $10, or hey Dad, I'm going out with my friends, this is where I'm going, that's perfect because I have limited time. Tell me what you need to tell me. Boom. We can connect, and she's off. And I feel great because I know where she's going. I feel like I satisfied her request, and we're done. Okay? My wife is the type, for example, the thinkers, they're the type that will tell you, oh, you know what, I'm really busy right now. I have an appointment to get to. They'll put their hand on the door, but they will never open the door because they don't want to be rude. So they're not going to open the door until you are done talking. So you got to look for the cues. You got to look for those clues that are going to clue you in to what type of communication style they have. But again, it's doers, that's the action-oriented. The thinkers, those are going to be your overthinkers, right? The analytical people. They go buy a car. They ain't buying a car on a whim. They're going to do their homework. They're going to look at the car reports. They're going to look at all that stuff. The influencers, those are the motivational, trying to inspire, the enthusiastic, right? I call them the people, a people person, okay? And then you have the connectors, which are more of the empathetic. This is my wife, right? Empathetic, relationship builder. You try to create a supportive environment around their communication. So I think my wife is definitely a connector / thinker, okay? Those will probably be her two major communication styles. So learn to communicate with other people in your life the way that they would prefer to be communicated to, or in their communication style. You will see an uptick. You will see greater connectivity in your communication. Let me give you an example. A few years ago, while I was teaching this in one of my workshops at a company, a woman approached me at the end of my workshop, and she said, "Is what you're teaching about the communication styles really true?" She says, "Because I'm having an issue with my teenage son. I pick him up from high school every day. I pick him up. He gets in the car, and I ask him, 'Hey, how was school today?' He says, 'Great.' Or sometimes, 'It was fine. It was okay.' Boy, does that sound familiar." Okay? And I said, okay, your son is answering the question that he is being asked. Simple as that. You ask a close-ended question, you get a close-ended answer. How was school today? Fine. What else do you want? If you ask the wrong question, you're going to get the wrong answer, or not the wrong answer, but not the answer that you wanted to hear. So we got to work on the questions that we're asking our son or your son when he gets in your car. For example, I started asking my daughter, Sophie, I would ask her, so, what's the best thing that happened in your day today? You know what her answer is? 9 times out of 10, her answer is lunch. It's either lunch or right now, school's over, the bell rang. That's 9 times out of 10. The bell rang. I had a good lunch. Did she answer the question? What was the best part of your day today? She's answering the question. So, I don't let it lie there. I don't just leave it there. I will simply ask a follow-up question. Well, what's so great about that? Why are you so excited about school ending? What was so great? What was fantastic about lunch? I mean, what did you eat? Did you sip on a Coke Zero? Because that makes my day pretty damn great. And we can continue to have a conversation. So it's really all about the questions that you're asking. Are you asking the right questions? To get the answers you want, to get the information that you're trying to get. Okay? So work on that. Work on the questions that you're asking. I want you to pick one person. So for your challenge for this week is to pick one person, preferably someone that is close to you. Okay? Don't pick your manager if you don't have a good relationship with your manager. I want you to have safe space, safe environment. So pick someone that you really like, that really likes you. So maybe it's your spouse, one of your kids, maybe a bestie, whatever. And then figure out what their communication style is. Are they a doer? Are they a thinker? Are they an influencer? Or are they a connector? And then communicate with them this week in their communication, as my mom would say. Are you ready for this, Sophie? As my mom would say, style. Okay? It's that simple. So let me give you some quick tips. How are we doing on time? We're doing good. Got the double thumbs up. Okay, so here are some quick tips for you guys to consider. So if you're a doer and you're communicating with a thinker, focus on outcomes and provide clear steps for action. Simple. Doers with influencers. Stay goal-oriented while maintaining an upbeat tone and inspiring others. Doers with connectors. Be direct and efficient, but acknowledge the emotional needs of the individual or the group. But for this setting, with the individual. Thinkers with doers. Stay practical and help drive action while explaining the reasoning behind it. Thinkers with influencers. Provide logical arguments, but blend them with enthusiasm and with vision. Thinkers with connectors. Be factual and structured, but ensure that emotional needs are also acknowledged. Then you have influencers with doers. Be motivating, but ensure that your ideas are grounded in practical, actionable steps. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. You get it. Highlights. Influencers with thinkers offer energy and big picture ideas, but support them with clear reasoning and data. Okay? Influencers with connectors, be energetic, but ensure that everyone feels involved, or that person feels involved and supported. Connectors with doers, provide empathy and support, but respect the doer's need for efficiency and results. Because remember, they're get it done. They're action oriented. Connectors with thinkers, be warm, be considerate, but offer clear, structured communication. And lastly, connectors with influencers. You want to connect emotionally, but also participate in the excitement and motivation to keep that person energized. I hope that helps. That is your challenge for the week. Go find that one person. Have that person in mind right now. Put it in the comments. Who is that one person that you choose that you're going to improve your communication with this week? You're going to figure out their communication style, and you are going to communicate with them using their style. Okay? If you do that, I promise you that your communication will improve to the point where instead of just communicating, you are actually making a connection. Communication, it's all about connections. If you want to build a winning culture, you've got to go beyond communicating. You've got to communicate to connect. As a leader, the more effective you can become at creating connections, this means that you're truly moving forward, trying to get to know the people who work for you as the leader. The more connections you make, the more you find out about when their anniversary is, when their birthday is, how many kids they have, what are their kids' names, what are their kids' birthdays. Listen, when I was a manager a few years ago, I was only managing a very, very small team. It was 2 people. I was number 3 on the team. But I knew their anniversary, kids' names, kids' birthdays, that important information. Kid's birthday rolls around, guess what? Here's a card. Here's a gift. Hey, what's your kid into? I remember a gentleman told me, yeah, my kid is really into like footballs, like Nerf footballs. So I got him one of those Nerf footballs that has like the little rocket ship tail on the end of it, and you throw it and it makes a whistling noise, right? I got him one of those. The next day he comes to work and he says, oh my gosh, dude, that $10 football you got my son, that's the thing that he played with the entire night. We tossed that thing back and forth forever. He slept with it. Why? Because I connected with him. I got to know him. I got to know his needs, what his interests were, and I got him what he was interested in. That's what you got to do. Make those types of connections. Stop trying to communicate. Make connections instead. Communicate to connect. Remember, communication doesn't happen when it's said. Communication happens when it's understood. Seek for clarity. Seek for understanding. The clearer you try to communicate as a leader, the more clear you communicate with your vision, with your mission, with your values, the easier it's going to be for other people to understand what you're trying to communicate to them and to connect with you. And isn't that what we're trying to do as leaders, is have connections with the people that we're leading? Think about that. If you're building connections, you have an army of followers. Every time you look behind you, you're going to see that army of people that you have connected with. This is a timeless principle of communicating to connect. It has been done since the dawn of time. It works. It's flawless. It's not a tip. It's not a trick. It's not a hack. It is a principle that has stood the test of time. Use it. Use it in your daily communication. Be Clara Chang. She made a lasting impression in my life. I am so thankful to Clara to this day for opening my eyes, for showing me the importance of connecting with total strangers on a 17-hour flight. I will forever be grateful. I hope that this is helpful to you as you move forward. I'd love to hear your comments. Help us grow the channel. Help us grow our podcast. Tell your friends to listen. And hey, I look forward to connecting with you on the other side. So remember, as you strive to communicate, to connect on a daily basis, that is a principle that will help you live the life. See you next week.